Hey yo! Hey everyone, Andrew here, bringing you another video review, and today we're going to be doing Batman Contagion. Take a look at this cover right here. Now, Batman's Contagion's premise is pretty simple. There's this virus, this plague going around in Gotham, and it's called the Clinch. And it's this offspring of the Ebola virus, or the Ebola plague. And the symptoms in this is just absolutely horrendous. If you're infected, and it's very easy to get infected, you start bleeding out your eyes, you start to, get all maluniformed and screwed up, and you basically look like Joan Rivers. Is really quite a deadly virus. And within almost 24 hours of getting it, maybe a little bit more, but within a day or two of getting it, you're gone. So, a carrier shows up in Gotham, an individual who does not know that they're infected with the Clinch, and kind of spreads it throughout Gotham. And many people are infected by it. So it's up to Batman and his team to try to find a cure for this. Robin, Oracle, Nightwing. But in addition to that, they get the help of some unlikely partners such as Azrael, Catwoman, Huntress, and, well, even Poison Ivy helps out. Although you know that doesn't turn out well. But at least she tried. You can only ask so much from that girl. In addition to that, Batman has to do a race against time because not only are all these people in Gotham affected and dying, let me just say, a good amount of people die in Gotham. I know it doesn't seem like a big thing, but it kind of sets the tone for many different stories to come on how much this virus affected Gotham. But in addition to Batman racing his time to help save Gotham, one of his own gets infected. One of Batman's friends gets infected. I'm not going to say who, because I don't want to ruin it for you, but one of his own gets infected, so he also has to race against time, and it becomes very personal to find the cure for that individual. So, that's the basic premise of Contagion. Contagion is an example of Nightfall's success, in that Nightfall was a story that spanned for about a year with multiple crossovers. This is a story that spanned for not quite as much time, but still for a long time, and it had multiple crossovers in this. What I liked about this story, and I guess we're going into the good, the bad, and whether or not you should get it, because I'm jumping into what I like. The good stuff is, one, is I really like how a lot of the not-so-big Batman characters at the time were used. For example, one character who I thought shined very well in this was Azrael. And Azrael came up, and he just very nicely portrayed. He's wearing his old Azrael armor, which is really cool, with the flaming swords, which I think is really badass. I really love Azrael. I know there's a new one out, but I don't care about him. It's John Paul Valley I like. But Azrael is portrayed very nicely. I like how they portrayed Catwoman. This is where Catwoman starts to turn from bad guy to good guy. And I also like how Robin was used in this too. Those are the three characters I think stood out the most in this. Of course, Batman stood out also. But Batman probably had just as much time in the comic as those three characters did too. So I like the portrayal of the characters. And Nightwing and Huntress were portrayed very well too. In addition to that, the story really shakes things up. One thing you can say about Chuck Dixon and his team, and Dennis O'Neil as the editor of Batman at the time, one thing you can say about them is they mixed things up. With Nightfall, things were mixed up. We got a new Batman. Contagion and Legacy, things were mixed up. Stories that we never seen. Contagion. No Man's Land, things were mixed up. I mean, fucking earthquake. Everything is screwed up. So, things were mixed up. The premise was great. For the most part, the story flowed pretty well. This is a fairly quick read, despite its thickness. I mean, look how thick this bad boy is. That might give you a better look. But despite its thickness, it's a quick read. It's only towards the end that it starts to falter, and I guess that's where we're going into the bad. At the very end, the ending, they kind of feel like they wrap things up in 2 issues, where they could have really used 3 issues to wrap things up. Now, granted, this story carries on into Legacy, but not quite to the full extent that it is in Contagion. In that Legacy is more or less a side sequel to this. And I'll explain that a bit more when I actually talk about Legacy, which should be my next Batman review. But they do wrap things up quickly in this, which kind of bothers me. I think they could have done one more issue to wrap things up. The cure kind of comes out of nowhere. And there is a cure. Obviously there is a cure. If there was no cure, DC Universe would be dead. So yeah, there is a cure. However, I do like who finds the cure, which is pretty cool. So with that said, on a whole, whether or not you should get it, Contagion is a fun story. I enjoyed it. I don't think it's the best stuff that came out of Chuck Dixon, but it's still a fun story. Now, it has a price tag of $19.99. I didn't pay that much for it. I got it for cheaper, but that's quite a bit. There is a lot to it, though. In addition to that, the art is very fluctuant. It jumps back and forth. I don't think there's one same artist on any issue. I think it's always different artists. So, but the art kind of sets the tone for the comic too. So that kind of works with it. You have some really dynamic art, some really realistic art, and then you have the other art. But I would recommend picking this up. It's a fun read. Despite its few faults here and there, it's still a fun read. I would, however, wait on picking it up and get other Batman titles first. This is more or less something where you want to be like, okay, let me try something new with Batman. Let me try something a little bit extreme and see how it goes. And that's where you would pick up Contagion. I would definitely recommend other Batman titles first. If you're a new Batman fan, definitely other titles first. If you're a casual Batman fan, there's a lot of other things that you probably would want to get before this. And if you're a hardcore Batman fan, you're going to get this eventually. Just put it towards the end of your list. But that does not mean it's necessarily bad. It is fun, it is good, but I would wait a little on picking it up. With that said, I'm going to end this review here, and this is Andrew saying peace out for now.